autonomous, sovereign state with full control over certain areas. The way I've written the bill, other than what the legislature agrees to, federal law is unenforceable, other than due process and equal protection, which after the Civil War, the only two pieces of federal law that all of us would agree as Americans we've got to enforce are equal protection law for everybody, no matter who you are, and due process. We all have to have due process and equal protection, no matter who you are. And those are actually fairly soft tests in federal law. And it took me years. When all the research I did on William Wayne Justice drove poor Jan crazy. We did that for all those years, Jan. All the research I did on the 10th Amendment, all of that is like, it's like this moment. I don't know what it is. I'm still trying to figure out free will. But for some reason, I've been put here as your congressman, and I've got this romantic passion for this. I understand it. I got this history with justice. They put me on appropriations and I didn't want it. I now have this clear understanding of how the federal grants work. And if you walk away from the money, make the legislature sign an informed consent contract with the federal government. It's informed consent on the record, saving hundreds of billions of dollars, and other than what they agree to, there is no federal authority at all in Texas to tell us what to do, other than due process and equal protection, which are fairly soft and simple and straightforward. And that's a huge piece of it. So I'll never make that on Fox News. It's not very exciting, but I'm telling you that works. That's bulletproof. I can't tell you which federal judges I've run it past, because this is all on the internet, and I don't want to upset them, but I've ran this past a lot of federal judges. It's a concept that I worked out and came up with, and I've got the language. It's perfect. And then another piece that would give you a finder's fee, if you find a duplicate federal program that does the same thing as a state or local program, the governor or the county judge signs a certification that there's a county or a state program doing the same thing as the federal program in Washington, and he signs a certification that half the federal money goes back to pay the national debt down, 5% of the money goes to you as a finder's fee, and then the other 45% of the money goes to Jersey Village or to Cy-Fair or to the county or to the state as a straight block grant, bypassing the federal government and the state government, and flows straight to the local entity from that point forward until Congress changes the law or Texas says we don't want the money. That right there will get the federal government out of our lives. The key is the money. That's how they hook us every time. And I had an agency come in yesterday, a noble, wonderful crime-fighting agency that I don't want to mention, that has never taken federal money, and they are determined they want $3 million federal dollars. They want me to earmark for them. I said, I just don't do it. Go back to your board. Go talk to Goodwill. Go talk to Steve. Just walk away. I said, this is how the federal government got out of control. Everybody's got a noble little project back in their district they were doing from Little Acorns, Mighty Oaks Grove. This works. It's complicated, but I can lay it all out on the. That's why the internet is such a powerful tool. I'll never get that explained on Fox News. What I do with my BlackBerry. It's in this one. No, right here in my hand. It works. It absolutely works, and gives us the tool. When I mean we the people take back the government, I'm not kidding. What I just described to you literally shuts down whole segments of the federal government. We have to think of it as turning off the oxygen and electricity on the decks of the Starship Enterprise. Just go through and we need to just turn off the lights and electricity on these agencies in Washington that are utterly and completely out of control. And by the way, have you noticed anybody been laid off in the federal government? None. They're all union. You can't fire them. Yes, ma'am. Aircraft, you got to come here and I'll go over here.
The young man that asked the question earlier, or really thinks that this is something you want, I need to explain to you that I know this system very well. At 32 years old, I needed a brain surgery that it took 9 different doctors, and I can't even tell you how many tests before they found out that I had too many arteries in my brain and that they were entangling around each other, and it was ready to burst, okay? If Obama's health care plan came through, a 32-year-old woman would never get those kinds of tests because the doctors would be interfered with. Yes, they would. I have read this bill. If you think anybody's brainwashed, you are. I have these are the type of people that really need to learn what this will do. I not only have had that, let me finish. I also have had heart surgery just 2 years ago. 50 years old, 2 bad heart valves, a totally blocked artery in my abdomen. Do you really think that this government, if that got put into a system, asking them, should we save her or should we not? She has all these genetic problems. You really think they're going to save me? I'm telling you they wouldn't. And the reason why I know this, and I can tell you this, is I have had all different kinds of insurance plans. I've worked for different companies, had different health plans through the employers. I've paid for my own health insurance, and I now am disabled and on Medicare. Been there, done that, don't want to do it anymore. They double pay for everything that they charge for. They make you go twice to get x-rays or Doppler tests when you can get it in one shot. It's bad.
That's a huge piece of the problem. Is double payment. You can certainly respond very quickly, but I say really the best way to answer it, the certainty of what she says is true in our perspective on this is that Nancy Pelosi exempted herself and all the members of Congress from the bill.
Here's what I know. I've had type 1 diabetes for 24 years now. I've been in and out of the hospital system. I've had 5 different jobs. I'm a computer programmer of a very mobile lifestyle with respect to jobs. All right, so I've had different jobs. I've had different insurance coverage. I've paid for it myself. I've been lucky enough that my small business has been able to provide insurance for me. But as a type 1 diabetic, I'm intimately familiar with the ins and outs of the healthcare industry. And I know that there's room for improvement there, and I just don't think that any of the
We agree with that.
I don't think that any plan.
But let's fix those specific problems.
I think the specific problem is the healthcare industry for profit. Now maybe that's an ideological difference that I have with that. That would be the problem. I don't think health insurance is for profit.
You're really wondering, well, I know, but they don't have for-profit in Cuba.
Cuba's got a great health system. Cuba sends doctors all over the world.
You can't go there. Above all, we can fix the individual problems with private insurance. Within the existing system, you do not, nor will I ever permit federal government to run MD Anderson.
You made the assertion on your website, and you said here that we have the world's greatest healthcare system, and I'm a little perplexed by that claim. The CIA says in 2009 that we rank 50th in longevity. All the other industrialized nations are ahead of us in that. Texas in particular, 27.5% are unemployed. Of that group,
Uninsured.
I'm sorry. And of that group, 41.3% of Hispanics, Latinos, are uninsured. That's from the Kaiser Family Foundation in 2009. I suspect there might be at least 1 or 2 Latinos in here, maybe. So I'm just curious to your assertion as to why you make that assertion when we, as a country, spend more than any other industrialized country on healthcare, and we leave so many people out of the pocket.
We are all of us in this room in agreement that we have to make improvements. We need improvements in the availability of healthcare, the cost of healthcare. We've got a cost crisis. Why are tests being done repeatedly? You can go after so much of this with just being intelligent and protecting the patient-doctor relationship, protecting the